Whoa. Whoa. That was that was just unreal. Saying that was I'd saying that was unreal or bananas would probably be the greatest understatement ever. Ever. Wow. And I don't think even wow covers. That's probably an understatement too. I begin, as always, in the matchless, glorious, and precious name of Jesus Christ. This video is my review of Arrow, Season 3, Episode 18, Public Enemy. That was just a doozy we just saw there. A big doozy. I don't know if anywhere I can find a word to just describe. One word to describe what just happened there. Let's go on. Let's start. Let's go start. It just basically picks up from the beginning, from where we left off in Suicidal Tendencies, when the mayor is just chit-chatting with Detective Lance and Laurel about who the arrow, about how to catch the arrow, and Laurel is trying to tell Lance that he is letting his personal feelings get in the way, which he is. And then before you know it, the mayor is killed by Maceo in a green hood, and then Ray is taken out as well. He is injured, and Felicity rushes him to the hospital. So, yes. And then before you know it, they keep on going. And then meanwhile, Roy and Thea are just having some time together. And Thea's like, I was being very foolish for breaking up with you. To which I say, yes, you were, Thea. Yes, you were. So, anyways, they see the report on the news that that Oliver Queen is the Arrow, as well as Roy Hart, as well as Diggle, and before you know it, we see Diggle, we see and then before you know it, we see them. They go to Oliver goes to Nyssa, asks for help, and she refuses to. And then a little bit later, when they're in the Foundry or the Arrow Cave, she gives him some help about where the League of Assassins are. Some members of the League of Assassins are. So, and then before you know it, we see them. Roy, Diggle, Laurel and Oliver have headed to the building where some of the League of Assassins are incorporated, and before you know it, there's an excellent action scene going on. A very excellent action scene. And then we go to see, and then Ra's al Ghul, and then it ends with Maceo at Oliver's mercy, and then before you know it, Ra's al Ghul comes out of nowhere and says, he applauds the scene, and he says, congrats, and he says that he should accept the role as his heir, and then Oliver says, I'm not accepting that role, and before you know it, Oliver also says, you're not taking me prisoner, and then he says, all right, then he's like, then the cops will take you prisoner, and before you know it, police helicopters, and police are on the scene, and they are going down Oliver, Roy, and Laurel are on their way, have dropped down numerous stories until they have hit the ground safely, and they split up. And then before you know it, they're running in all sorts of different directions trying to avoid the cops. And Diggle's trying to help them out, doing stuff. So, and I just gotta mention one moment, a poignant moment between Laurel and her father. For the record, Oliver and Roy Oliver and Roy escape. So they, and then also, and then by the way, we see between Laurel and Quentin Lance. So Laurel and Quentin Lance. Laurel is running for her life. She's trapped. She doesn't have a grappling hook or anything. And then before you know it, a gun. Her father has her at gunpoint, and Laurel like, what? So you're gonna shoot your daughter? And then before you know it, Nyssa takes an arrow out to disarm the gun, to take the gun out of her father's hand, and she helps him, and she helps him escape. Not before Nyssa beats the crap out of him though, and then they escape. So Oliver and Laurel head back to the foundry, and Roy catches up with them, only after being held back afar. So, and then we go further. He gets a call from the era, and then he gets a call from the. And he gets a call from the Quentin Lance, and he says, "Those people are dead because of me. Those people are dead because of you." Basically, what Quentin Lance says, and then Oliver's like, in his arrow voice says, "No, they're not for me, not by me, not by my hands." And then Quentin, I think, says, "You have one choice: turn yourself in." So, and Oliver decides not to, and then we go on and we say, and before you know it, he's heading out of the police station, and before you know it, he is ambushed by Maceo, and then they fight. He's knocked out, and then he is in the hands of the League of. He is, and then he is in the. He is in Nanda Parbat before Ra's al-Ghul. And Ra's al-Ghul reveals that Oliver Queen is the Arrow. Wow. He finally knows after all this time. And then we go on. He says, and furthermore, he declares this on a citywide TV, so the whole city knows Oliver Queen is the Arrow. Wow, that was shocking. So, anyways, we see, and after that, meanwhile, as that's happening, Roy and Thea are having a chit chat. Roy is still feeling guilty about killing that cop from season 2 under the influence of Mirakuru. Thea's saying, "It's not your fault. You were under the influence," which I agree with too. And before you know it, police have invaded the club, and Oliver has to run for his life, and he heads over to Diggle's house. So, and we see, and then he's like, Oliver's like, he didn't know what to do, because the last time he was arrested for being the Arrow, he intentionally wanted to be arrested. This was in season 1, episode 5, Damaged. He wanted to be arrested so he could be proven not to be the Arrow. So, and then we see to be the Arrow. So, and then we go on to, and then Roy, and then Oliver decides to do what he thinks he should have done. Turn himself in. He goes to the precinct to turn himself in and to get himself arrested. And then before you know it, then I need to just pause here and just talk about the stuff between Ray, Felicity, and Felicity's mom. So Ray gets wounded. Felicity spends most of his time with him in the hospital, and before you know it, her mom comes in. I think her name's Donna. She comes in. They have a little chit chat. And before you know it, a little bit later, she's like, and then before that, Ray confesses her love for him. I mean, his love for her, and then before you know it, she is, And then before you know it, and by the way, Ray decides to do something like to help him to heal himself of his wound or whatever. And then Ray, I need to mention this because it's a very Elicity moment. I'm a very huge Elicity shipper, by the way. Let me clarify. I would prefer Oliver to be with Sara, but since Sarah's not around, my second choice is for him to be with Felicity. And since I'm a very huge Felicity shipper, not that huge as I said, I need to mention this moment between Donna Smoke and her daughter. It's like Felicity's like Ray's perfect for me, and Donna's like Oliver. Oliver is the one you're in love with essentially, and she's like, Mom, you just met him for 10 seconds. And she's like, I knew you were in love with him in 5. That was awesome. That was awesome. She knew. Wow, that's good stuff. She gave some good advice, and she basically said, go for him. So, and before you know it, all Felicity, Roy, and Felicity, Roy, and Laurel enter into the room, and they're talking to him, and they just admit it, and she said that Ray's doing better than you, and then again, Oliver turning himself in, and then Roy, Felicity, Felicity, Diggle, and Laurel meet him at the police station, and they say, what you're doing is wrong, is insane, and Oliver's like, this is the only way to get you guys amnesty and things like that. So, and also, I need to also mention this. Laurel confronts her father in her civilian identity. It says the reason her father's going after the arrow is because he's mad at him for keeping the death of her daughter a secret. And it feels like, that's basically what I believe. And I think Quentin knows that too. He just doesn't want to admit it. So, anyways, there is a little chit chat. Quentin Lance and Oliver Queen are in the back of the bus, and then I just feel like what he did next was unnecessary in my eyes. Quentin just slaps Oliver for this greatly. I was like, I know you're repaid, Quentin Lance, but that was totally uncalled for. Totally uncalled for. So, if there was and so, in other cases, so he's like, Oliver's like, I tried to help save the city. No, you didn't save the city. Your mom, my daughter, Tommy, all of them, they're dead. You're not a hero, you're a villain. That's what he says. And we know that's utter crap, because we know that Oliver saved the city from Slade's Mirakuru army in season 2 and half the Glades in season 1. So, anyways, before you know it, there is a interruption in the middle of they heard something on the car, and before you know it, the van stops, and they see somebody dressed in a green hood come down and say, I am the arrow. Says, I am the arrow. It's Roy Harper. And they have him arrested and put him in cuffs. That was unreal. That was awesome. That was wow. Anyways, in the flashbacks, Oliver and Akio run into the identical twin sister of Shadow. Initially, he is not interested in telling her what happened to her sister or father until she doesn't bother it until she sees the scar, the tattoo on his back that her sister had. She calls the police. The Waller's men attack them, and they are tied there until Masao and Tatsu come and rescue them. And then later, Oliver tells her, and then she admits the truth. This is an excellent episode. I give it a 9 out of 10. Awesome stuff. Awesome. It was amazing. It was bananas. Wow. Wow. It's maddening that the next episode comes in 2 weeks. Very maddening. All right. That's all for this video.